hallway. There you go, Nessa.
Thank you.
Let me just make sure the sound's on. Okay.
Okay.
Okay, and you want to change it yourself or do you want us to
Oh yeah,
do it?
Noel has set up a clicker if you want to do the clicker.
Well, can I
It's up
test
to you.
it?
Yeah, do
Oh yeah, it works.
Okay.
Wow, that's awesome.
That's so sick.
It is.
Mm-hmm.
Should we just start whatever?
Yep.
Okay. Hi, my name is Nessa, and welcome to my fall 2022
Watch out, that's my cord.
presentation of grading. So the first class I'll be going over is Spanish. So main takeaways from Spanish is understanding the verb families. As with English, we have a lot of vocabulary devices and slangs. When it comes to Spanish, there's like a simple system when it comes to infinite verbs. Like all you have to do is look at the end of a word and then match it with the pronoun or the verb, and then you make a sentence, which I think is really simple and nice. And here's a picture of me practicing serve. What I realized is that, as with any language, it takes a lot of practice and memorization. For me, I have to memorize and practice like all the time because I might grasp a concept, but then I forget it. Like if I don't practice for one day. So let's say, for example, 1 week I work really hard on one concept, and then we start working on another one. I don't practice the next concept. I'll forget it very easily. And I still struggle with Spanish. I've definitely learned something from Spanish, but I still struggle to translate certain things when it comes to words. And that's basically. So the next thing I'm going to talk about is group music culture using the Adidas Miracles. Unfortunately, I don't have pictures from the exhibition, but what the 3P stand for is the products, practices, and perspective. The products is basically what you see, like the food and the music. And the practices are dances, social interactions. For example, usually people will bring their family together to honor their loved ones. And for perspective, it's beliefs, meanings, and values. What I mean by beliefs is some people have religious beliefs when it comes to their cultural celebrations and some meanings. For example, when it comes to Dia de los Muertos, you always see colorful colors. You do not see dark colors because dark colors represent death and they don't want past spirits to see it. So the next class I'm going to talk about is how do I feel about math? So when the semester first started, I was pretty confused with the system. It was weird how like we would just get a packet and we didn't really check if our answers were right. We just checked if we did it. So I kind of took that for granted, if I'm gonna be honest. Like when it came to tests, I would just study what it was about last minute because I usually use my phone to help me do my homework. And then I realized like when we got the phone policy, I couldn't use my phone to help me do my homework anymore. So I actually started to pay attention to what I was doing. And I started asking questions because I realized I need more one-on-one help when it comes to math. And it's hard for me to just pay attention when he's explaining. So usually I ask for one-on-one help, and I've gotten better grades and I have a somewhat better understanding of math, especially trigonometry, which is a concept I've been able to do really well. So something I am proud of is the Triangle Head project. I'm really proud of this because I was able to incorporate my own hobbies with math as well. What I really liked about this is that I could be creative, and when it came to drawing the characters, it wasn't just about math. You had to write a full description of the character, and you also had to solve it. I'm really proud of how I incorporated the triangles. I tried to put triangles wherever I could, and there's no left on the side there. So I will be telling you how to find an angle of the right triangle and side of the hypotenuse. So the first thing I do is look at the values and determine if it's cosine, sine, or tangent. And what really helps me is looking at the whole thing, SOHCAHTOA, because when I look at my opposite and adjacent, I look for where it is in SOHCAHTOA. I see that it's in TOA, which is tangent. So that's how I use tangent. And to find the angle, you have to use inverse tangent. So it's inverse tangent times inverse tangent divided by 1.452. And that's how you get the angle of the right triangle. And then to identify the side that is missing, identify the values that are missing. Obviously, we have both of these. So we use both of these and square 1.4 plus 2.2 squared equals 6.8, and then you square root 6.8, which gives you 2.6, which is the hypotenuse. Next class I'm going to talk about is light. So for our Let It Grow project, I need LED neon sign, a brown paper bag, and a plastic box house. For my plastic box house, I wasn't comfortable using power tools, so instead of using wood, I decided to use a plastic box I found, and I painted it like a dark purple, but I carved out windows so it looked like a house, and I put lights in it so it kind of looked like a house. And I also made this brown paper bag. I put a bunny on it, and it was used to help me paint it. But I thought this was really cute because it actually looks cute in my opinion. And I was able to add my own like creativity to it. And the LED neon sign, which I just made a bunny. So my favorite project for art was definitely the Let It Glow project, which I just explained, and making jewelry. Although making jewelry is a small thing, it's also very time consuming, and I found it really calming because I can involve all my own like ideas when it comes to making a bracelet. I can also wear it. So I found that really soothing. Some things I learned since first semester was that I was hesitant to work with wire. I did not want to use any like electricity type things or any type of things that had to do with light. But I realized it wasn't hard at all. Like, I just had to poke holes into a styrofoam poster board and put wires in it. But something that I also learned was time management is also really important because Mr. Wyatt pushes us to do our work, and at the end of like the semester when you realize you haven't really done anything big, it makes you like wish like you actually worked a little harder. So honestly, I wish I worked harder, and it does take a lot of hard work in art class, especially with the power tools, which I stated I wasn't comfortable with using. So next semester I do want to try using them, at least just to try something new and actually work on something I'll be proud of. So the next class I'll be going on to is humanities. So motivation, extrinsic motivation is external motivation, and intrinsic motivation is internal personal motivation, basically you pushing yourself to do something for personal growth. Some examples of my intrinsic motivation is allowing myself to reach a healthy mental state. I do not do that for other people. Other people might tell you, oh, you should get help and all of that, but I don't do it just because other people tell me or like the environment around me. I just do it for myself so I can feel better. Something else I do is getting work done before proud of myself. For example, for my grades, there's times where my mom will tell me like I can't do this if I don't get good grades, but I don't feel disappointed when I don't get a good grade. I just focus on what I'm doing, especially like a lot recently, because earlier in the semester I feel like I wasn't trying hard enough, and I kind of, if I'm gonna be honest, I kind of gave up a little bit. So I realized that it's actually important. I want to work on my self-growth when it comes to that. And also just getting work done in general makes me feel productive and accomplished. And something else is growing in my own hobbies for personal achievement. When it comes to that, it comes to my talents like art, music, or crocheting, which I just started. And I basically focus on that. Like I don't focus on what other people are going to see or how they can react to it. I just focus on growing in that hobby. For me, I mainly focus on intrinsic motivation. External motivations are really rare for me. Majority of the time, I want to feel good about what I'm doing, and it's really rare for me to have something given to me whenever I do a lot of hard work. So I'm not very used to it. So here are my creative pieces. I chose an art piece that I made not too long ago and made a playlist. So this shows my intrinsic motivation because it represents what I love and continue to explore every day. This art piece I made a while ago, or not a while ago, but like maybe like a week ago. And I don't really do pieces with color that often. It's very rare because it is very time consuming and I need a lot of motivation myself to do that. So I wanted to be proud of myself and actually work. The full picture is like just me working on the perspective. I don't want to show it just because perspective is a little, but like basically yeah, it was me focusing on perspective and the colors and the shading where it should go. And then my playlist here, I usually listen to music to help me focus a lot better. And if I'm being honest, music kind of helps me get inspired when it comes to writing or drawing. So I think this playlist would help me. So next thing we'll talk about is independent reading. What I've been reading on Story Class is The Handmaid's Tale by Margaret Atwood. It's about women called handmaids who are forced to have children for commanders, wives who cannot have children. In the story, basically there's very few fertile women left, so these handmaids are forced to have kids for the commander's wives. Something that stood out to me was that the writing was unfiltered and it talked about the realities of patriarchal society. By that, like they'll go in detail and they will not like cover anything up. And an example is sometimes there's parts where it was a little brutal. And I was a little surprised to read some of it, but I also was kind of glad that it was unfiltered and real. I would recommend this book to high school students who are interested in feminism and anything aligning with women's rights. So if you're not interested in misogyny or like anything that has to do with sexism, I would not recommend this. And if you're easily disturbed or unsettled by these things, I would not recommend this either. So one thing I am proud of from Mr. McCready Class is the Game Board project. This game board was about the abortion rights and the overturn of Roe v. Wade. I'm really proud of the creativity that went into it. Like me and Jesus wanted to make it like monochrome, but we also added pink spurts here and there so it would stand out. I also love the scenario cards. I feel like that was a good thing to add. And I loved how we made it fun, but we also made it like a learning experience for the player. You start in a state where abortion isn't legal after 15 weeks, and then how you win is if you go to the abortion clinic. It might sound a little silly at first, but it is a learning experience for anybody who believes in it and who doesn't believe in it. I want to thank you and my friends for being there for me, because they've always been there for me, especially when I'm going through art stuff. My mom encouraged me to try harder in school. Like for example, when I said I was giving up, she really encouraged me to do better. So that's kind of helped me with my intrinsic motivation as well, because I realized, oh man, I really need to try harder for school. My teachers, because it's so easy to communicate with them, like I know it's their job, but whenever I need to talk about grades or whenever I need to like extend deadlines, I can always go to them. And my personal relationships help me grow as a person mentally, and yeah, thank you.
Okay, questions from the audience first? If anyone has any? Jesus?
Yes, I have one, but it's about Spanish.
That's fine.
Oh, sure.
What's the most important thing I'd say with the language of Spanish that you learned so far this semester?
The most important thing?
Yeah.
I feel like it's just like the learning about the culture in general, because I'm Hispanic myself, and growing up I did not learn Spanish, so it's really nice to like learn about my own culture and history when it comes to learning Spanish. So yeah, I think that's the most important thing to me.
If you had to rate yourself on a scale from 1 to 10 as a student this semester, what would you rate yourself?
Probably like 7.
Okay. And then can you explain why you chose 7?
I feel like I could have worked harder in certain classes like art and Spanish. I feel like I could have worked on memorizing better and actually practicing at home, not just at school. Basically, I would give myself a higher rating if I did those things.
Okay.
But I also trying to give myself credit for like actually pushing myself, because like I said, there's a point where I like gave up, but I got up.
Cool. You sort of answered it, but I was wondering if you could talk more, where you said that you felt like kind of just giving up with school in the beginning and then you decided to make a change. I know you said your mom played a role. Do you mind sharing sort of like the shift in mindset that happened, or?
there was a lot of conflict
Uh-huh.
and there was a lot of things that was making me like feel like oh school is not important to me
Mhm.
because just like certain things are kind of personal,
Hmm.
but like um she I had hard times with my mom and she really pushed me to actually work harder because I know she was also hurting seeing how I was. So yeah.
Okay, cool. And then my last question is, how do you think your friends and peers affect your school experience?
Um, it really depends.
Mhm.
Like sometimes I get just a teeny bit frustrated because I try to have my friends actually work on their work. But they
Mhm.
can always like goof around in that. But I also get a little frustrated when they don't do their work. I try to help them out. Um, when it comes to like other personal relationships outside of school, I would say they don't help me that much. Usually I just do my work and it's pretty much
Alrighty. I lied. I have one more question. Sorry. If you could set a goal for next semester, what would it be?
to try new things and not just work with what I already know how to work with. Like I definitely want to use power tools. I
Mhm.
definitely want to go outside of my comfort zone
Cool.
when it comes to those things, just for all classes too.
Awesome. Alrighty. So my feedback is one, clearly you're a very talented artist, which I've seen in my class, but it was also cool to see other things from other classes. Like the math project drawing stood out to me. And then also, yeah, I do agree that you should push yourself a little bit because it would be cool to see what you could do with your creativity and then incorporating new things like power tools into it. um, yeah, I think what struck me was that this was a very, very professional presentation. You have really good presentation skills as far as the pace at which you speak, the body language you have, the eye contact you make, not looking at slides. So I've seen you present a little bit in my class, but this was definitely the most formal one that we've had, and you definitely showed that you're very, very capable at doing stuff like this. Um, and then, yeah, I agree with your goals that you set for yourself. And I'm glad I got a little glimpse into you talking about the perseverance that you went through this semester because I saw the product of it, I would say, as far as like participation and the work that you were turning in. But I didn't really know the behind the scenes a little bit of it. So I want to commend you on that and very good job. You pass. Oh yeah, let me just take a look at this. Cool. I don't. I'm sorry. You can go get some. Yeah.
Bro, why'd you choose that picture?
Oh, I'll give you this. All right.
So we gotta click our.
That makes a lot of sense.
You see that? Let's do it again.
Wonderful.
That's awesome.
All right.
Okay, quiet down, please.
Jesus, whenever you're ready, you can go, and I'll start the timer.
Hello, everyone. I'd like to welcome you to my presentation of learning this winter of 2022. Today I will be talking about Spanish with Ms. Danny, humanities with Mr. McRae, art with Mr. Wyatt, and last but not least, math with Mr. Wu. So we're going to be starting with Ms. Danny. Main takeaways of Spanish class are the learning the formal ways to communicate in Spanish, because usually, like, I usually use slang, like mostly when I talk to my dad. So learning the formal like ways of communication in Spanish really like helped me learn, like when I'm talking to new people, like how to introduce myself, how to say the proper way and the formal way of things in that language. And I think it's very important. So like when I maybe get a job, I could communicate in Spanish to like customers or other people. And learning how to write in Spanish. I wasn't a very good writer in Spanish. So having the Spanish 1 class with Ms. Danny helped me learn how to write in Spanish better and how to use like punctuation and certain registering things and learning how to use it as well. And for one thing I learned is the 3 P's of culture. So let's say Dia de los Muertos, there's 3 P's, which is products, perspectives, and practices. And these 3 P's are the ones in the culture that matter the most. So for products, I'd say like drinks, food, bread, anything like that you could leave at an altar would be considered products. And perspectives would be like beliefs. Let's say, meanings and like values. And practices are like festivals, dances, maybe like family gatherings, stuff like that. And next, I'm going to be moving on to the humanities class with Mr. McRae. So, topic 1, motivation. Extrinsic motivation is basically external motivation. Intrinsic motivation is internal and personal motivation. And some examples of my intrinsic motivation are maybe taking time to myself to really like understand my feelings and my own like how I feel and catching up on myself and making sure I have a good mental state. And focusing on topics I don't really understand. So in math class, like let's say I'm having trouble with learning like quadratic formula, and like I take the time to go to tutoring and learn that subject so it's easier to understand. And taking time to practice the hobbies I value, which are like playing guitar, sewing, maybe getting some drawing in there, maybe like coping strategies, like for when I'm feeling down, stuff like that. And I mostly focus on my intrinsic motivation because it makes me feel like good when I do it, and it kind of like takes me to like a place where I could like really let myself like be out like on paper, like express my feelings and just really show who I really am. And for external motivation, I focus less on that because I honestly like to do what I'm doing, and not like having to do something that I don't like doing. I think we all could agree on that. But I honestly focus more on my intrinsic motivation, and my balance more intrinsic, which makes sense because I like to do like my hobbies and stuff like that more than stuff that's motivating. And my creative piece is the picture of my wall here in my bedroom. It has a bunch of drawings on it, and a skateboard and a guitar. So basically, it's all the things that I'm interested in plastered out onto a wall, which I really like. And I chose this because like every day I wake up in the morning and I look at this wall and I think about like school, right, and all my friends and the memories I've made with them. And it holds like a special place in my heart to motivate me to come to school like every day and try to do my best and hang out with my friends. For my independent reading book, I will be talking about Hatchet by Gary Polzin. Summary, this young man named Brian from New York City just takes this trip to Canada to see his father, but he runs into an issue on his pilot. What was it, a heart attack, right?
Mhm.
Heart attack, and the plane crashes into a lake. It was a lake, right?
I don't remember. I think I read
Yeah,
this
it
book like
crashes into
15 years
a
ago.
river or lake, yeah.
River,
Okay.
river lake. And so he's forced to survive on that piece of terrain and try to
All right.
basically survive off of whatever he could find. And what I like about that book is that it's really like action packed, so you don't know what's gonna happen next, and there's always something new every single day. So it's never dry. So like there's one problem, like the rain like takes down the shelter, so he has to build a new one, and just stuff like that that really keeps the book nice and fresh. Would I recommend this book? Yes, I would recommend it to any realistic fiction likers out there, and to any adventure geeks out there looking to read a book about stuff like that. And for one thing I'm proud about is working with Nessa on the Right to Choose game. I like this project because mostly it focused on like abortion rights and the overturning of Roe v. Wade in certain states. And I like the fun approach to serious topics because it makes it fun to learn about these things. But also like having a serious approach to it. I really like it myself. And the fact that we got to choose our own groups, I think is really awesome. And our topics, just as long as it went along with like protests or like the fight for rights and stuff like that. So the whole purpose of the game is to get an abortion legally. So what you have to do is you start in a red state that has like the abortion rights, no abortion rights, and the purpose is to go to a blue state where you can finally get your abortion. And along the way, you experience like questions, like trivia questions, in scenarios that might happen in your life if you go ahead and experience that. So when you get to the end, you basically win. So now I'm going to be talking about Art Class with Mr. Wyatt. So, Art Class with Mr. Wyatt, Muskrat TV, right here. I love doing this project right here. It holds a special place in my heart because of the wrap design I made in rehab. It was awesome. And the paper bag, unfortunately, I couldn't get a picture of it because Mr. Wyatt, like according to the weather or something during exhibition, like the bag like got all like wet, so he had to throw it away. So I couldn't really do anything about that. And I got like some things I painted on the walls in Mr. Wyatt's class. And Unwanted Fabrics is like this whole like thing where I take fabrics or like pieces of clothing and I kind of like take pieces and like fragments of it and take it together to sew and just create something new out of it, like to bring it back to life, if that makes sense. My favorite project was the Let It Glow project. And I exhibited the TV right here. It was supposed to light up, but I don't have a picture of it lighting up because I had to put the screen back inside. And the paper bag that was that had UV paint on it, so it really glowed. And I used UV spray paint on the TV, so when you put like a UV light on it, like it just like it glows and it's crazy. It looks really nice. And what did I learn out of this class? I learned how to use leather and how to experiment with it. And how did this help me? I guess it helped me learn more, like a better understanding of it, of like leather workers and the process that goes into making like a belt and stuff like that. Will I use this in the future? Definitely. I still want to make like wallets and belts and stuff like that because I think it's really cool. And this was definitely a project I really liked. And finally, math from Mr. Liu. How did I feel at the beginning of the semester? I did not feel good about this because from last semester, I heard that we were gonna have like trigonometry and quadratic equations, and I was like, oh no, it looks super complicated. And my sister like made it seem like kind of like a horror story. So I kind of was like scared out of my mind going into math class. But honestly, it wasn't that bad because it's mostly just like variables and understanding how to do it the right way. And something I did this semester that I'm proud of is learning trigonometry, because last semester we did learn it, but it was a lot more like complicated than I made it seem. So in my head, it made me like hesitate whenever I do a problem. I was like, ooh, what do I do here? Like, what do I do with this problem? I don't know how to do this, until I got help from Mr. Liu, and it really like helped me a lot with how to see the problems and to solve them. So we have SOHCAHTOA, right? We have a triangle, a right triangle with angle, another angle, and let's get 6 here and 9 here. That'll be our hypotenuse. So basically, our hypotenuse is basically the other side of the little square here, and the opposite would be the opposite of the angle, and the adjacent would be basically under there. So that'll be our problem set up. So here would be to find our angle. I think it'd be right here. All right, so it'd be TOA, tangent, inverse tangent. Here, and then is there a calculator?
You can use your phone if you want. I don't have calculators.
Here.
So we got inverse tangent. 6, 9. Where's this one? So I got 0.6. Shit, I don't think this is a quadratic.
It's not.
Wasn't
Did you
there one?
change it right there?
No, yeah, I did it, but it didn't. That's not supposed to be the answer. I don't think so. Okay.
Just have them do it on your laptop.
There's a button on my calculator.
Did you do this one? That's a second. And it goes to inverse tangent.
It's 33.69.
Cool. Yeah, you did all the steps correct. It's just the calculating at the end.
Cool. Yeah, that'd be our answer. So, we're supposed to round it, correct? We're supposed to round
No,
it.
you take that and you have to edit. You see, that is what you're gonna have now, and you use that to find the other one, the other
Yeah.
angle.
Yeah.
That's what you do, okay?
That'd be our angle.
So that would be x. Replace x with that.
And then
Cool.
and our y would be basically the same process, except we're going to be solving for y now. So
He's got it.
the opposite of the y would be 9. And this would be the adjacent. Yeah. So to find the y, we do so adjacent. So so 9/6.
56.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And our hypotenuse, we still have to find it. So what we do is we do 9 squared plus 6 squared. And our answer one plus 6 17. So we get the square root of 117. And then our answer would be 10.8.
Cool.
So that basically would be it.
Good job.
I'm gonna erase it.
You can just scroll it to the or roll it to the right.
Okay, so basically it. I'd like to thank Mr. McCray for being such a G and honestly being just one of the greatest teachers like ever. Mr. Wyatt for making Maker's class fun as hell, or heck, my bad. Because he let us like do anything we really wanted to do, just as long as we were making something, which I find really cool. And Miss Danny for teaching me how to write in Spanish because my mom and dad were pressuring me about it. And Mr. Lou for teaching me how to do math the awesome way, which is cool. Mr. Lou, he seems like a strict teacher, but he's actually a pretty cool teacher. And all my friends for being there for me, like when I need them, and honestly, but just being cool dudes. Shout out to her over there. She's awesome. And thank you to you guys for listening to my presentation and any questions.
Anyone have a question for Jesus? Okay, I want to ask questions about motivation. Clearly, you have intrinsic motivation with your hobbies specifically, right? Um, do you feel like intrinsically motivated with schoolwork?
When it comes to like projects and stuff like
Mhm.
that, I am like when it has to do with like my hobbies, I
Mhm.
really am like motivated to do it. But in like some circumstances where like I need to do it, I don't really feel like doing it, but I still have to do it anyways.
Mhm.
So it's kind of like this opposite action kind of thing. Yeah, I do when I have projects that like pique my interest.
Right. Can you tell me or let me know sort of what goes on internally in your head when you're given something in a class and your first reaction is I don't want to do this?
Yeah, like I kind of
How do you approach that situation?
I set it to the side, which is
Uh-huh.
not the best thing to do. Instead of doing it first, like in my head, I say like I don't really want to do this, so I'm not going to do it.
Mhm.
But my friends help me like say, you know what, you need to do it. So like you know what, I'll be there to help you if you need help.
Mhm.
So I take that and I do it anyways because I know that I need to do it to have a good grade.
Mhm.
So
When you get something, do you think that you are either interested in it or not interested in it and that can't change? Or do you think you can change that?
it's either one or the other with my like kind of head.
Okay. So if you get an assignment or a reading, for example, and you look at the topic and you say, I'm not interested in this, you think that like it's just stuck like that? You can't get yourself interested in it or build interest in it? Okay. Interesting. Can you tell me more about the TV and the like why did you choose to create that? And is there a meaning behind it?
Not really. Honestly just wanted to make it. I was like, what if I covered a TV full of rat stickers? And I did that. And honestly, I just like the way it turned out. There's no specific meaning behind it. Honestly, just for someone to look at and laugh at, since it's like the weirdest concept like ever. But honestly, it was very fun to make.
Yeah, I like it. It makes you think. Makes you think about what it could possibly represent and things like that. What do you think is the purpose of school?
Teaching kids, of course.
What's the purpose of attending school?
Attending school.
Because you're here from I don't know how old, like 3 to 18 or whatever.
Yeah.
What's the purpose of that process?
I guess preparing yourself for the real world.
Okay.
I guess so. Getting kind of like the feel of having responsibilities
Mhm.
and having to be like accounting for your actions and seeing that like things that you don't have to do, you still have to do them. And to be rewarded, you get rewarded in your grades.
Okay.
That kind of thing.
And then last question is, can you name something that you did really well this semester? And it doesn't have to be a specific assignment necessarily. It could be the way that you treated someone or the role that you played in a group. But I just want you to highlight one thing that you thought you did really well this semester.
Maybe I'd say taking accountability for my actions and trying to get, like if there's late work, I try to get it in. And I guess taking the time to really think about things to like further help me during when I'm trying to turn.
Okay. Yeah. Cool. I agree with that. I think in my comment, I wanted to highlight the fact that at some point in the semester, you decided that you were going to turn in all the work that was missing, or attempt to at least. And I'm not sure what caused that to happen, but I'm glad that it did because it helped your grade a lot. And now you can pass the class. Next semester, I hope we don't have to do that. If you just keep up with it from the beginning, sure, you can miss an assignment here or there and make it up. But I think a lot of people, it's not just you, kind of fall back on this idea that I don't have to do things in the beginning, or if I don't want to, and then I'll make it up later. It's not it. In my perspective, that just ends up stressing you out because you have a bad grade the whole time, and then you're stressed out because you have to do all this work. So I think my push for you is not to do that next semester. And I also know that there are things happening too, which might have caused that. But I do appreciate the growth that you've shown. And I think you and Nessa did a really good job on the project at the end of the semester. I really appreciate you explaining the independent reading book that you went through, which was Hatchet. I liked looking at the art that you've created. You're a very creative person. And I think probably your biggest strength is how you carry yourself, or like your personality, essentially. Like people like you, they like having you around. I think you carry a big influence in the class. So I would ask you also for help in that if you're not interested in something right off the bat, maybe give it a little more, or take the approach that you said of school's preparing you for life after school and see what you can take out of it. And I think the way that you approach certain things can go a long way. So that'd be my one piece of advice. But overall, really good presentation, especially the math. Like that's perfect. That's exactly what I want to see, is you thoroughly explaining something and even struggling with certain parts, but then going back to, oh yeah, I have to do it this way. Like that shows that you actually learned what you needed to learn. So good job. Good presentation, and yes, you pass. Okay. I'm sorry. I don't know if your parents wanted to say anything before you sit back down.
I just wanted to comment on
Yeah.
you finished the semester that he loves coming to school every day, but I would like to see him like not waiting till the last moment to pass his classes.
Mhm.
And it seems like every year that passes, that's the way he works. And I want him to eventually mature into where that's not like how that works.
Mhm.
That you don't get second, third, fourth opportunities. You know, he should be thankful that the teachers allow him to turn in all this late work and get a grade.
Mhm.
You know, but life isn't really like that. So moving forward to next semester, how can you alleviate like having to do all this work to be able to pass a class at the last minute? So what are your thoughts for that towards like looking towards the future? Not only does it cause stress for you, but it's actually not fair to your teachers that have to go through all these assignments at the last minute to give you a grade.
Or you could have got an A
Yeah.
if you got full credit for all the things. Yeah.
So that's my question, like how next semester you are planning to change that? Have you made any thought about that? Like, this is what I need to work on. Maybe create a plan for yourself by every Friday. If I'm missing something on Monday, I need to get it done by Friday. So that one, it alleviates more stress on you, and two, it creates, you can get a better grade like your teacher just does. And you don't also overwhelm your teachers. If you like your teachers, you respect them a lot. I know that. So for next semester, what can you do?
Definitely, I'd say focus on doing the work in class. So, like, I know homework's for home, but what I could do is, since I stay at school pretty late, I can prioritize the work at school. And so, like, when I go home, I'm not distracted by anything else I want to do. And I like that idea, starting a plan a week before. So having said, like, you know what to do and you have it written down. So when you come to like a point of like realization, like when I haven't done this, like you look to the planner and you see what you need to do.
Do you have a plan?
I want to get one.
We can get you one. But I like that idea of Because right now you sort of have maybe 2 points in the semester where you look at where you're at and you say, oh, I'm missing all these things, or my grade is this. You could do that every day. You could do that every week. And then you stay more on top of things instead of just pushing it to the side and then saying, okay, let me look at what's happening. Oh, shoot, I have all these things that I need to do. I think like every Friday you can do that. And it would be much more manageable because every Friday you'll see, oh, I did all my work or I missed one thing. I can do that right now. Yeah. Okay. And we'll get a planner.
Good job.
Cool. Good job, Jesus. All right. Yeah. Yes, you can. Okay. If anyone needs to go to the bathroom or anything, go right now, please. Quickly.
Thank you so much for
Thank
having
you.
us. You have a good day.
You too.
See you later.
Bye bye. Thank you for coming. Oh man.
Be careful.
So Carter's gonna.
I think Victoria's gonna pick you up, but if she's not, I will, but you might be able
Can you turn that off real quick? Because I gotta talk to Owen.
No longer, don't make me go
Mhm.
search for you. 12:30.
No, I know. I'm not just being front.
Oh, okay.
Hi, Owen. Are you there? Oh, okay. Oh, dang. Okay, you're hooked. You're hooked up to a
Yes.
speaker. I'm gonna put you on the board too. We're on a break right now, but I think we'll start in like 5 minutes. Okay. Everyone, I don't.
Hey.
Yeah, everyone can see you right now. You're up on the board.
Hey, Owen.
Okay,
I'm
cool.
running sound.
So I think in about 5 more minutes we'll go. Can you see if you can share your screen?
It says you disabled screen sharing.
Okay, let me I can fix that.
Screen sharing, you have to make it allow participants.
I know. I can also just make him a co-host, I think.
Why does he look like that?
Can you try again right now?
Right? Oh, yeah, I'm able to now.
No,
Sweet.
I'm pretty sure you're good. They bought it at Costco, but that makes me not want to eat it.
All right. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yep.
Oh yeah, and Owen, when it's time to present, don't forget to make sure your
muted.
presentation
You're
is
muted.
on presentation mode. Owen, make sure your presentation is on full screen mode, aka presentation slide. So when you play it, it's gonna be a full screen like that. Yeah, good job.
I'm gonna mute the live stream. Okay. There we go.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to my presentation of learning of fall 2022. My name is Tian Toscano, and thank you all for coming. First thing I would like to talk about is math. First thing in math I would like to talk about is how I felt about math this semester. I definitely felt overwhelmed because of how many new concepts we learned this year. I think we learned about like 4, and every time we would learn a new concept, we had to do it in the same week that we would take a test, because every week we would take a test, like a little quiz or something. But it was so really hard for me because of the learning style was so different from what I was used to. Like we weren't allowed to take notes and stuff. So I just had to use the assignments that we had to as reference and things like that. Something I'm proud of is I feel now that I'm in a good place, and I feel like I've accomplished a lot because I've come a long way, and I managed to learn different techniques in math this year to help me with making math easier for myself. I'm proud of this math one here. I was over here, but basically what we had to do for this project is to create a character based on a mathematician, and we had to create a description of the character, saying like what makes a hero a hero, and then give them abilities based on some different equations in math and things like that. So now I'm gonna do a little bit of trigonometry. So, is this okay?
Yeah, that's fine.
So first, say we want to find the side of a triangle. First thing we need to do is find out what kind of triangle it is. So because the angle is here, then that would mean that this 50 side here is adjacent to the angle. And since the x here is on this side, it would be opposite of this. Because the angle's here, it would be opposite of this here. So that would be opposite. So we have opposite adjacent, so that means that our angle is tan. So then we plug in 32 because that's the angle that we're working with. And that is 0.62. So we put 0.62 equals x over 50 because because it's tan, it would be opposite over adjacent. So then it would be x over 50. So then to get rid of the division, to get the x by itself, we have to multiply by 50, and that will get you 31.5. 31.5. And that's your answer. Not for what this side is. So next thing I'd like to talk about is humanities. Here's some of the books that I read this year. A few of them are comics and a few of them are just regular books. So first thing I want to talk about in humanities is intrinsic and the difference between intrinsic and extrinsic motivation. Intrinsic motivation is fueled by your own want to do something. Say like a passion you might have, like because you enjoy doing it. And extrinsic motivation is fueled by external sources, and that forces you to do something for some sort of benefit. So like a project that you might have to do, not because you want to, but because you want to be great. My intrinsic motivation relies on wanting to make something awesome for any reason, and managing to learn something new in any type of thing like that. And also topics I'm interested in might motivate me to just do them just because I want to. I use my intrinsic motivation to find things I'm interested in a project might have to make me more interested in it, and that would also contribute to make it more engaging. So I created a creative piece here to represent my intrinsic motivation. The dragon represents me, and the dragon itself, the flying itself, represents being free and not being told what to do, and choosing what I want to do, and to do the things that I love to do. The dipping the wing into the water represents choosing my own path and loving it, and like loving what I do. My intrinsic motivation balance is pretty good because in school it helps me find the fun in projects, and it also helps me learn something new in the process because I love learning new things, so that definitely helps. And it also helps me make something awesome, and in turn helps with the quality of my work, because if I want to make something awesome, then I would also like to make it look like, then I also like to make it like best as possible. So now I would like to talk about some of the books that I've read this year in humanities. The book that I just finished this year is called Transformers Exodus, and by Alec Irvine, and it's a book about the Transformer War and how it started. Since this is like a prequel kind of, it starts on their home planet before they come to Earth, and just like even before the war started, like what happened and like how it started. So it starts off with two characters named Optimus and Megatron. Megatron was born, but like any Transformer that is born, once you're born, you're put into a caste or a job, and you're not allowed to leave the job or choose what you want to do. You're chosen. It's chosen for you. And so Megatron had the unfortunate job of being a miner, like he works in the mines, and that's like the lowest job that you can get. So of course he thought that he eventually started like thinking like, this is not right. That we should change it. There should be changes that were going on, and he creates an uprising with some of the followers, and this catches the attention of Optimus, and so together, and Optimus agrees with Megatron, saying like we should all that there should be some changes. So they all go to the High Council, which is basically like a court, and they take it to there and say like that things should be changes. But this is where Optimus learns that Megatron is probably would have done anything to get what he wants. And it was like Optimus realizes that Megatron would do anything to get what he wants, and like even kill people in the process. So Optimus tries to reason with him, saying there's a peaceful way to do this, but Megatron doesn't agree, and he's having none of it. So that's when the war starts, and they have their fall down and all that. Something that stood out to me is a specific scene in the book when Optimus and Megatron are in a tussle, like they're in a battlefield, and Megatron's like walking through a cloud of smoke, and all you can see is his red eyes. And he calls Optimus from the battlefield. He calls him brother, which is something that they would call each other when they were still friends. But at this time, it's more like a mocking gesture, saying like almost reminding Optimus of what once was. And like I guess he's still really bitter about it, so I just thought that was very poetic. I would not recommend this book to many people because of how technical the words can get sometimes, and you might find yourself skipping paragraphs, because I definitely found myself doing that. Even the wording can be annoying at times, so just watch out for that. I learned from this unit to be patient with books. In particular, this one where you had to it gets good in the middle, you just have to give it a chance. And to also try new genres and authors and stuff like that. Like I've never heard of this author before, so that was fun. And now I'd like to talk about some of my highlighted work. Something I've chosen is my epistolary poem. I chose this because it's a good learning experience, it was really fun to try out something new because I've never actually written a poem before up until this point. And I'm proud of this because, as I said, I've never written a poem before. And it was mostly my first try. I didn't really change anything from my first try. I just kind of added on to it. And I even managed to rhyme some of the lines a bit. I learned how to actually structure different types of poems, like make couplets and things like that. And I also learned how to condense my paragraphs into sentences because I consider myself more of a writer. So it was definitely an interesting experience to try and condense the story I wanted to tell in only a few paragraphs. Only a few sentences. I learned now let's move on to Makerspace, and here's some of the things that I made in Makerspace, like this painting on the wall and that watercolor painting up there. So first thing I'd like to talk about is our exhibition, which was called Let It Glow. Here's the painting I made with UV paint. Not all of it is UV paint. It's only this part right here, the magic, I guess, and even the skeleton part's glow. I'm really proud of it and how it turned out. Working with UV paint is really fun. I thought it was a cool idea. My favorite project is actually this project. I think it's the best thing I made this year. I put a lot of work into it to make it look good. And I didn't get to see it on the day of exhibition, but it was honestly one of my favorite projects. Something I learned was how to make a ring with copper. It was an interesting little mini project that we got to do. It was really fun. You just twist copper and wire together, hammer it, and then burn it really hot, and then dip it in water. And wrap it around your fingers, and there you go. It was really fun. I just thought it was a nice little project to do, and I got to learn something in the process. Now I'd like to talk about Spanish. So my experience in Spanish class was actually very hard because I don't know Spanish that well. So I don't know how to write or talk in Spanish that well. So it was definitely very hard for me. Another thing that I think that was hard was our project, our Alavika project, which is what I created. And because this was hard because I feel that we didn't have enough time to finish it. That's just my opinion. With that said, I am actually proud of my Alavika. We made it by putting an armature inside of it, which is basically like a skeleton, use wire for that, and then wrap paper around it to create the body. And then we wrapped tape around it and put paper mache, let it harden, and painted it with traditional Alavika designs. The most difficult thing I think in Spanish class was having always to write and talk in Spanish because as I said, I'm not too good at that. And an example of this is when we had a test that we had to know where to put the accent mark on certain words in Spanish. And this was hard because the accent mark depended on what syllable in the word was the hardest, it sounded the hardest. And sometimes I didn't even know the words that they would give us. So it was hard for me to determine where the accent mark is. So that was really hard for me. My understanding for Spanish has grown because now it's easier to write and talk in Spanish than it was at the beginning of the year. And I learned how to make Alavicas, and also we learned different legends from Mexico. I will improve by always doing my best and working hard, determining things on time, but still making quality work. I will also make sure to ask more questions because I do still struggle with that. And my own story form is a good example of my hard work because of how much thought I put into it. And even though it was at the beginning of the year, I made sure to, even though it was at the beginning of the year, I made sure to put as much work, as hard work I could into it, even though I with my limited knowledge. Thank you all for listening.
Questions from the audience?
Would you recommend that Transformers book to someone who is starting out to learn Transformers?
Yes. because it's more of like a prequel, so you get to learn why the war started, why everyone hates each other. So yeah, I think it's.
How do you hope to grow as a leader?
I think I have to be more outgoing and willing to take on more risks because as much as I want to step out of my comfort zone, I like my comfort zone, obviously. And it's very hard for me to step out of my comfort zone, although that's one of my goals that I do want to step out of more often. So I think being a leader is really important in taking risks and stuff like that. So I think, taking risks will help me out with that a lot.
So far, so what did you learn from the book about that, about so far as the backstory? Because I know even a lot of series mention it too, and that's that as far as I remember from what it says, not only did they used to be friends, but before Optimus Primal became a Prime, he was called Orion Pax. Fun fact.
I just called it Optimus because I didn't know how to switch.
Yeah, because I just wanted to clarify that, and I wanted to see if you saw that in the book.
No, yeah.
Yeah.
Megatron was also called Megatronus.
Yes, Megatronus was Megatron.
Yeah.
Interesting.
I
They
learned a lot.
both changed the name, got their names changed pretty similarly.
Talking about leadership, if you're thinking of a good leader, what qualities does that person have?
I knew it.
Really? Oh wow.
I was really looking at this. I think, yeah, taking, like what I said
Uh-huh.
before, taking risks is definitely a big part of that. Willing to step up and take charge, almost like making sure everyone's on task, things like that. I think that's what makes a leader.
What are you interested in learning about? It's a very general question, but what academic interests do you have?
I think I really liked making poems. I think that was really fun for me. So I would like to learn more about like poems and things like that. Because it was really fun. I like to write another poem. Like I had a lot of time.
Okay. How do you seek out challenges for yourself at school?
It's usually things that like I don't want to do. So if I don't want to do it, I kind of force myself to.
Okay.
So because I know it's probably good for me, and it might be fun at the end.
That's good. And then lastly, can you talk about how your friends and peers affect your school experience?
They can definitely help a lot, but I find sometimes that they can drag me down, like especially in math class. Like, we're just talking and stuff when we're not doing math. But I've learned to like kind of just do my work anyway and just ignore them. But they do help a lot. Like sometimes I text them like for help with math or something like that. Like what needs to be done the next day. So they definitely help me, but sometimes they can do.
Okay. Cool. I think the presentation was really good. I'm glad Connor asked the question about leadership because I don't know if the point was to say that you can be a leader or you should try to build that a little bit, but I agree. I think I would list many other qualities. I agree with what you said, but I think there's also many other qualities, and I think you have them. It's something that you just slowly have to be more comfortable with. I'm still uncomfortable like taking leadership positions, but I also understand that I should push myself a little more, and I think you're in a similar boat probably. I'm glad that I can tell that even if you don't want to do something, you still push yourself to do it, and I hope that in those experiences you do come away with something afterwards, or at least you learn how to persevere through things and requirements that you have to do. I'm glad that you really like the poetry. I'm thinking of ways that we can incorporate that next semester. We're not going to have a specific assignment that has you write poetry, but I think you can incorporate it into these storybooks that we're going to write. Like you can definitely put poetry in there. So I'll come back to you on that. Overall, yeah, very good. I thought this was a good professional presentation, and you got more comfortable as it went on, talking about all the things that you did. And yes, I feel comfortable giving you a passing grade. All right, cool.
We have a break.
So you have to stand over a little bit more.
I know, but like.
Okay.
And then do you want to use clicker yourself, or
Yeah, the
I can do it?
How do I?
Because you either go left and I mean that's that. See, this is back. Look, the left is back, right is forward. See?
Yeah. So I go forward, I click this one.
No, you go forward. You click that one. Yeah. Cool.
All right, we're starting now.
Hello, welcome to my 2022 YOLO. First, I'm talking about my humanity topic number 1. Okay, intrinsic motivation is basically wanting to do something because you want to do it, like not for anything else in return. And extrinsic motivation is to do it for something in return. My intrinsic motivation basically comes from curiosity. I wanted to learn stuff like history. I really am into history because I love to know about my past and my past. And I guess it pushes me to learn more a lot during school, especially during like this class or math as well. I love like trigonometry and stuff like that. And I think I have a pretty good balance. I'd like to say I have more intrinsic motivation. Like, I don't really know. So yeah. For my intrinsic motivation, I chose this. Basically, I share this playlist with people, and whenever they like give me feedback on like how good my music is or like this song's really good, it pushes me to like want to put more songs in there to make them think I'm like a cool person. So like I love validation from other people. I know that's not good all the time, but like it feels good to be complimented, especially when I'm in a big household and sometimes there's not a one-on-one validation with your parents when you have like a whole bunch of siblings, like things to do around the house. So it's good to have like people say like this is a good song or thank you, you know? Yeah. For my independent reading book, I chose Romeo and Juliet again. It's written by Shakespeare, of course. Basically it's about two families that hate each other, but there's like these two quote unquote star-crossed lovers, and they fall in love and they literally love each other to death. Like they die loving each other. But it is a love tragedy, and it's kind of like love at first sight, but is it really love or was it like lust at first sight? Let's be for real. Anyways, the genre is pretty cool. I like it. My favorite character was the nurse because like she did anything and everything for Juliet. She was a good mom, made sure Juliet had everything that she needed, and overall was just like a better mother than her mother actually was. So yeah. And I'd recommend this book to teenagers because some of y'all might be thinking the way that Romeo and Juliet were, like, I love this person, but I can't be with them, yada, yada, yada. And that's literally how they were, like, they wanted to be with each other, but they said that they couldn't. So, yeah. And if you read a book next semester, I don't know if I'll be into it if I'm not into it in the beginning. Like, I have to, like it in the beginning, and if I don't, I'm probably not going to like the rest, in my opinion. Okay, my highlight piece was my poem. Even though I didn't read it out loud very good, I still put a lot of effort and work into it. It had a lot of emotion. That's why I was like shaking during it. And I don't like talking in front of people. But at the end of the day, it had a lot of emotion and it meant a lot to me. I learned that I really do like poetry and spoken word. I like epistolary poems, the new thing I learned. But yeah, it was pretty cool. I like it overall. For my Spanish topic, number one, the first thing I took away from like Spanish and like learning is that it's kind of hard because I know French, so it's kind of like off a little bit. They're kind of similar, but still like there's a lot of differences. But they're both like they both favor the guy while using the language. So yeah. On the first day of class, I was kind of scared because I didn't want to learn Spanish, and I thought I already had my language. I thought I didn't have to do it, but apparently I still do. But it's pretty cool now. I like it. Like once you get the hang of everything, it's pretty cool. About the 3 P's of culture, basically product, perspective and practice. We did for Dia de los Muertos, I had a group with Eris and somebody else, and we did flowers. We made like little flowers, and basically it represents like the pathway for the dead to come back. And so basically the perspective on that would be like how you view it, like how you view the flowers or how you view someone's product. And then the practice is like making the product or like parties and stuff like that. And then, you know, the product is the product. The flower itself. My math topic. It wasn't that hard in the beginning of the year, but I didn't like homework, especially because I don't really put stern rules on myself. Like I don't push myself to do the work, so I just kind of like fall behind, or I just don't end up turning it in, even if I do it. I'm proud that I learned trig, and it's pretty easy to do last year as well. But I'm glad that I learned like inverse trig. This is my favorite subject overall, and it was pretty fun. And then I want to, you know, get this. Basically going to be finding the angle.
Here, Naya. Can you roll it over so it's in the screen? It's okay.
Yeah.
That's good.
I'm gonna find this angle. And then this side and this side. I don't have the hypotenuse, but that's fine. So the angle that's across from, the side that's across from the angle is always your opposite. And this is your hypotenuse, so this side has to be your adjacent. And this is COA, because O over A. So it's going to be tan in parentheses O over A. This tan 3 over 4. And then like that. So it's negative 10, negative 1. It's not like
You have to lock the rotating.
so. Sorry. 36 times 8. Should be the angle. Anyways. This was my exhibition for art. It's a picture, well, a painting of me and my boyfriend, and parts of the painting blow up. So that's basically what it is. Like the shoes, the heart, anything white on it, and then our names at the bottom. So yeah. My favorite project was making soap. Me and Eris and Gisela tried to make the seasons. I think only one of them turned out good. It was like autumn or fall or whatever. It was pretty fun. I like the experience of it. Like I like being able to create something and knowing like I did that. Like whoa. So yeah. And then something I found out is I really do work good alone. Like at the end of the year, I just focused on working by myself with things so I get it done faster and I'm not distracted by anything. And I like hanging out with my friends and stuff, but there's a lot of stuff that we do in class that doesn't keep us on track. So yeah. And here are my appreciations. Ivanka, Eris, Ashton, Axel, and then my friend up there, that's Paris. Well, his name is Prince, but I call him Paris. And, yeah. That's it.
Questions?
Do you find it more challenging to work as an individual or with a group?
I find it more challenging to work in a group because I don't like when people change what I've already done. And I really don't like others' input, even though it's bad. But I like to keep to myself. And I like the finished product more when I do it. So, yeah.
Are you in love with your Benjamins?
Jesus, stop.
Sorry.
Do you have an actual question to ask?
No.
I want to talk about group work. Have you done a project this semester in a group? Or is pretty much all the big things you've done individual?
Board game was by myself.
Right.
Game was by myself.
Right.
Did we do anything else publicly?
In a group or no? Because the writing was also by yourself.
I made soap with Eris.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna give you a heads up. I think I'm going to make you do the storybook in a group because I want to push you to build that skill also. What concerns you about working in a group?
I don't like speaking up for myself. So
Okay.
when I don't like it, then I'm not gonna tell them, and I'm just gonna keep going on with what they want. So I don't want to make my friends mad at me.
Mm-hmm.
So I just kind of like do whatever they want, and I just roll with it.
Okay. Do you think that is a healthy tendency to have as you go through life?
Probably not, but like
Okay. Why not?
because I have to speak up for myself sometimes. Like put my ideas out there.
Mm-hmm.
But
Well, I'd say like speak up for yourself, but also I'm glad you added the other part in of you have shown that you can do things by yourself and you clearly have good ideas and can conceptualize an entire project. So you almost have a duty to share that with your group members because it'll help you all out. How long have you been at High Tech High? Can you remind me?
2 years.
2 years? Okay. How do you feel about the structure of High Tech?
I definitely like this school more than my past one. I've never been to a public school.
Mhm.
I've only ever been to charters, but
Mhm.
I like that they only have 4 classes. There's not a lot of stress. Like there's not too much to worry about. It's pretty easy. And the staff is good.
Okay, cool. How would you say you communicate with your peers and the people around you in class?
I mean, I talk to them one-on-one, but I don't know. We just like talk or we joke around. And if I joke about something that's like good, then maybe it'll be put into like a project.
Mm-hmm.
That's about it.
Okay. Can you set a goal for or any goals for yourself for next semester specifically? Like, what are some things that you think you can build upon or work on for next semester?
I definitely need to put more strict rules on myself to like do homework, get good grades. Because I'm trying to go to like a good college, you know, because I want to be a med student, but I kind of have to like persevere and like push myself more to get like the good grades, like at least A's and B's, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah.
Okay. I'll go into my comments. I think, yes, you should be very proud of the things that you've done this semester because a lot of it has been individual. And I was hesitant to let people work individually on the board game project, but I'm glad I did because a lot of you who did it individually ended up making really good stuff, you being one of them. I am going to push you to work in groups next semester. I'm sorry. I know you're probably going to not like me for it, but I do think that like I can't think of many jobs that you'll have in the future where you aren't working with people. Like even as a teacher, where I'm pretty much like on my own in class the whole time, but it's still there's so much of it is working with other teachers and staff members and things like that. So I do think it's something for you to build. And I asked you about how you communicate with other people in the class. So I also think that's something you can work on a little bit. You don't have to be friends with everyone, but making sure that if you need to like go to this person for something, or if you find yourself in a group with this person, that you know that you can work together. I think that's also a really important like people skill to have, life skill to have. So I think like for you academically, I think you did really good, and I'm happy with where you're at. You're a good writer. I know you know history well, and I'm sure next semester when we learn other stuff, you'll probably pick it up as well. But I think building just life skills too is something. Not that you're bad at anything, but I think that's like the area where you can grow a little bit. Cool. This was a good presentation. I'm not sure if I'm gonna pass you or not because it was a little bit short, but we can talk about it. Okay, let me think for a little bit. The presentation was good, but yeah, okay. Thank you, Naya. It was like less than 9 minutes of speaking, which is I don't know.
And you forgot to stop it.
What?
Well, it's 55.
Let me think about it. Okay.
Can I go change?
Change out of your shoes? Yeah, yeah. Go ahead. Okay.
Maybe if we make your dance or something. That's really funny.
Yes. Go ahead.
Hey, the slicker is over there.
What?
I know what kind.
You what?
Here, I moved it all the way back for you. All right, quiet down, guys.
Whenever you're ready.
Well, welcome to my PL. My name is next slide, please.
Do you want the clicker, Emiliano?
Hey, do you want the clicker or do you want me to do it? It's up to you. There's a clicker.
All right.
It's the
I'm
right
gonna
one.
talk about what I did for art class. My contributions for Mr. White's art class was I helped set up for the exhibits. What else? I helped organize the wood pile, which was like a horrendous mess. Like you should have seen it, Mr. White. It's not Mr. White, Mr. McRae. You should have seen it. It was like all over the place. It was like bits of random wood tossed all over the place, and I helped like clean it up in an orderly manner. Yeah, I helped clean the classroom as well. Also, I helped clean the closets. And my favorite project during the first semester of art class was the Hello board project. And it is one of my favorite projects personally because he gave us the space to create whatever we wanted. At first I was gonna make an airplane, but I decided to do a World War I style trench club. I put it here like for reference. Trench club, and I feel like I improved from the project by making my time and making it historically as accurate as possible. I mean, it's sort of historically accurate. Also because I'm a history buff, I created that.
Wait, go back.
I'll go back.
Yeah. Can you explain what a trench club is?
Oh, so both sides, the Entente powers and the Allies during World War I would go into trench raids. They'll send like 5 guys into an enemy trench or more, and basically they would create like hand-to-hand weapons because you couldn't bring a rifle into the trench, or else if you fire a rifle, it create a noise and a political operation. So trench clubs were created to make it more stealthy, I guess.
Mhm.
And also because it was influenced off like medieval weapons as well.
So the historical ones were also made of wood?
Yeah.
Cool.
And metal too.
And metal.
Things I learned in the semester, I learned how to carve wood, which was important. I learned how to handle power tools in Mr. Wise class. And most importantly, I learned safety because, handling power tools it takes responsibility. And, if you're not responsible, you could have horrible accidents. And also here are some drawings I did. I drew since I like history, I drew some soldiers. And I'm going to talk about what I did for math class. This semester I learned how to do percentages. For example, if you're trying to find a 20% discount of a 100, what you need to do is multiply 20 times 100, and we'll give you 20. Then you subtract 20 from 100, which will give you 80. This was helpful to me to know when I go to stores and find discounts on like certain items and stuff. And what I want to improve on math is actually being more involved in class, actually like just staying instead of being pulled out and you stay like for 30 minutes and actually try to grasp the material Mr. Liu is giving us and actually take notes because taking notes helps me retain a lot of information. Yeah, I already covered that slide. And I want to talk about my contribution for Spanish class. Well, my Spanish class experience. The semester in Spanish class wasn't like very pleasant at all. The material was difficult, the class time was too early. The class time is too early and the teacher teaches too fast. Miss I is strict The current homework we are doing in class is particularly difficult. It's hard because we had a project where we had to make a music video,
Mhm.
and it was very stressful because my vocals are horrendous. Let's admit that I can't sing, and I'm actually proud of myself because I actually managed to do that project, and I powered through it, and I turned it in like before the due date, which I'm surprised of myself. And also, for Spanish class, I made an alebrije, which was a big part of Spanish class. We learned basically what word alebrijes came from and stuff, and actually got to connect more with my culture as well. And also with grammar, basically Miss I would make us do calentamientos, basically like warm-ups, where we had to write, I don't know, like some paragraphs in Spanish or something, which honestly it did help a bit, you know. Next slide. My Spanish throw. I learned about alebrijes, as I mentioned on the other slide. I learned about Mexican urban legends, which was surprising. I learned about revolutions that happened in Mexico. I learned about important figures like Emiliano Zapata and stuff. Also, Dia de los Muertos was a huge part in Spanish class. I learned more grammar because when I came in, you know, I didn't know that much because I'm sort of whitewashed, and I learned grammar. Also, I learned about different Spanish-speaking communities like the Yucatecos, which were the ones that made up the alebrijes. For Spanish improvements, I'll try to be less. I'll try to like be less less lazy and actually do my job. I would like to be taken out of class to work in a quiet place individually. I could also work after school with Miss I if I get the chance. I'll try to be a better student by staying focused, and I would like to have a good positive attitude because, to be honest, when I come to the Spanish class, I just generally have like a negative outlook. And for humanities class,
Extrinsic.
Intrinsic and intrinsic motivation. First, I'm going to explain what intrinsic motivation is. This is due to gaining a reward or avoiding adverse consequences. Next, I'm going to explain what intrinsic motivation is. That motivation that a person has because of interest and passion. The root of my intrinsic motivation comes from my mind, which are my passions. It makes me happy in getting deeper knowledge of the subject I'm learning. I draw upon when they are teaching history in class. I can extract knowledge from my head and I can apply it to what I'm learning and say what. And I say my balance between intrinsic and intrinsic motivation is normal because I'm happy where I am extrinsically and intrinsically. My intrinsic motivation, I'm motivated to do history because I already have a knowledge of certain historical subjects, and that motivation makes it easier to turn in my assignments. And also motivates me to collect uniforms from like different time periods because it actually motivates me to do deeper research on what uniform and like the correct stuff I need for the uniform and stuff. For my independent reading reflection, I'm reading a book called Lost Honor, Betrayed Loyalty. This book is about an 18-year-old Belgian man who was blackmailed into joining the Waffen SS in order to save his mother from being sent to a concentration camp. For context, that he was 18 when the Germans invaded, And I guess during the occupation, his mother, someone caught wind of his mother criticizing the Nazis. And I guess an informant or collaborator caught wind of this, and they threatened to send her to a concentration camp. But I think the SS saw that her son was an able-bodied man, so they blackmailed him into joining, or also sent his mother to a concentration camp. The genre of this book is memoir and an autobiography. The author of the book is Herbert Menger. What stood out to me is the main character, Herbert Menger, because the book is actually written by the author himself and not like someone else. Because it actually gives me like, how do you say it?
First person accounts.
First person account. It was interesting to see his perspective because we usually hear the perspective of Allied soldiers. On the opposing side, it also intrigued me because he went from living a normal life as a Belgian schoolboy until the Germans invaded during the occupation. I already said that. I would highly recommend this book to anyone, like any high schooler or adult who's interested in history, specifically World War II on the Eastern Front. My takeaway from independent reading is that it takes a long time to read a book individually, but it also helpful to have more reading time in class, and also like you can learn more vocab as like you read a book for the first time. One of the subjects projects this year was the trivia board game. I chose this because I'm well versed in the topic of the war, so I was writing and what we were learning in class, which was revolution, oppression, and social movements, etc. What makes me proud? I'm proud how like the board game turned out, and also I was able to explain my knowledge to people. You know, sharing my knowledge is important, especially with history, educating random people about it. My takeaway from this assignment, is that a lot of people were interested in my exhibit because they saw the uniforms, of course, hanging up on the wall. And I was actually confident in myself that I was able to do it. The people I appreciate, I'd like to give a special thanks to Ms. Maria, Mr. McCray, Mr. G, Mr. Alberto, Mrs. Zell, Ms. V, and Ms. Fora. And I'd like to give a special thanks to Nessa, Leo, Diego, Ivanka, Rena, also Jesus, Hector, Angelina, Rain, Andre, Giselle, Juan, and Gio. And did I say you, Angelina?
Yeah.
Angelina. This concludes my POL.
All right.
Excellent work.
Questions for Emiliano?
Yes.
Wojack's from hard.
Go ahead, Angelina.
Tell us about your level of participation in class. When were you proud of your participation in class?
I mean, I guess my level of participation is how would I describe it? Like moderate, I guess. Like I do participate sometimes, but at the same time, I'm just like sometimes I zone out and I sometimes don't pay attention. I'm going to be honest with you guys.
Okay.
And my mom, who's probably watching. I guess it's normal. I guess sort of normal. My participation. Leo.
If you were able to design a project for you and your classmates to do, what would you do and what topics would you explore?
I mean, I would really like to do sort of like a museum for, let's say, our topic is the Cold War, and you have to make an exhibit about any events in the Cold War, like the Cuban Missile Crisis or the Berlin Wall, and you have to set up like an exhibition with objects you created. Yeah, that's my type. So yeah.
I have a comment, and that's I didn't know you had a lot of interest like I do. I'm very interested in like military history. Why some of my favorite online games are like COD and stuff because it's very. I like Cold War because it's very accurate and it's semi accurate, but well, technically also the most accurate for a video game. You got to be honest, but yeah. So I found that kind of cool. And I like the uniforms.
Yeah, I like uniforms too.
hmm
Any other questions?
I know you have background knowledge on specific history topics. How do you approach topics that you don't have background knowledge on?
I do more research.
Is
That's
it-
like the most important. Either watching a video online or reading an article,
Mhm.
so I can better inform myself before I say something.
Does it still interest you?
What?
If you, for example, if I gave you a reading on World War II, I'm sure you would jump on it and be really interested. If I gave you a reading on something that's not related to that at all, would you still be interested in it as long as it's history?
Yeah. I mean, if it's like medieval stuff, yeah, I'll
Okay.
give it a shot.
Okay, cool. You spoke about your attitude, specifically with Spanish class. Can you talk about that a little more? Like, how do you see your attitude affecting your experience and your performance in class?
Just my attitude is just if I have like a negative mindset, I'll probably not get that much work done because that negative mindset will give me the stubbornness
Mhm.
to not certain assignments and to not really care. If that makes sense.
It does. I think it's true. Do you feel like you're in control of your attitude? Like, if you consciously know that having a positive attitude will help you, are you able to then approach things more positively?
Yeah, I guess having a more positive outlook on like school life and stuff. Yeah.
Okay.
I guess it could really help me a lot.
Okay, cool.
Any other questions?
No.
You have any questions?
I'll go vote.
I don't have any more questions. I'll just go on to my comments. I think you did really well in specific big projects and assignments this year, which was really cool to see. Like, one was the board game, obviously, but then also when I was in your Spanish class for a little bit while you guys were showing your music videos, I got to see yours. That was really good. I think it was one of the most professional looking ones. Like, I could tell you took time and wanted it to look nice. So it is cool when I get to see you kind of step up to the plate on these big assignments.
Yeah.
My feedback is also do that with the small day-to-day assignments. So one, your grade, like, you're keeping up with your grades and it can be high, but also, like, there's a purpose why we give you those small assignments before we give you the big ones, because they're supposed to help you with the bigger one, which can make it even better. But yeah, really good. I liked your presentation. It was good. I think you were professional. You had no cards, but I appreciate that you looked up from it very often to make eye contact. So that was really good. I'm giving you a passing grade. I don't know if your other teachers have comments before we move on.
Any comments or something?
I do. I have a few.
There you go.
Well, this is a POL, so you're already exposed. But I think that, like, comparing like yourself to like last year, like you coming in late, right, and you joining in the middle, you finally have like I remember hearing those words like, "Oh, I want to be in this class. Like, I want to be in Mr. McRae's class. I want to like learn that stuff." So like, don't forget that like the things that you do, whether it's small or big, and your reactions to them, they matter, right? Then next semester you guys have spring, and then after that you guys are going to be juniors, and it's every year is going to get harder. It's not like, oh, I got through this year and I'm done. Every year is a little more challenging, and every year there's going to be those moments where you're like, I want to just give up and I want to just throw away and forget all this. I'm going to run to the bathroom and hide for 30 minutes or whatever. Not saying that you do that, but don't shy away from those challenges. Like, you cannot shy away from things when life gets difficult, when class gets difficult, because you won't grow. And it's in those moments where like difficult decisions have to be made, and you have to either see something through, or face a consequence, or go through something that you're really going to like shine. And it's those moments and the things that you get out of those moments that's really gonna like continue to like help you grow and go through those challenges. So keep working with Mr. McRae, keep working with Ms. Maria. When people come up and ask you if you need help, you can be honest, just take those things into consideration. And I'm very excited to see you continue to grow. Like, you've grown so much in this like short amount of time, and I just hopefully the loud outbursts kind of slow down a little bit, but that's it. I'm proud of your progress so far. Sorry, I'm late.
Well, to follow up on that, I've seen the growth in you from the beginning of the semester, and I'm so proud because you do say that you're negative, let's say in Spanish, but you have been coming and like let's get it done kind of thing. And like that initiative from you has made it easier for us to like get this stuff done. So even though you don't want to do it, you still are like, I have to do it, like let's just get it done. So I'm very proud of you for those moments that at first they were difficult, but then you're just like with the mindset of let's work. And then the other thing is just I'm proud of you for like you growing as a friend to your classmates, as a student, and there's just so much I want to say to you, but the other thing that I wanted to say was just keep going with that mentality for next semester. And the other thing was like you come to us, but you are very capable of doing it yourself. I've seen your work, the things that you haven't worked with us, and it's amazing. And I push you and I encourage you to keep working and writing it yourself because you are capable.
All right, good job, Emiliano. Cool. And with that, we are done for today.